through universal health coverage, through Taifa Care, where every Kenyan will be ensured eventually. Every citizen of Kenya will have will have access to a medical cover. It's not a small matter. Even developed countries have tried universal health coverage without success. President Obama in 2016 brought Obamacare. It was controversial, it was politicized. It went to the Supreme Court. Much of it was removed by the Supreme Court. But the American health insurance scheme today that serves them are the vestiges of Obamacare until today. And therefore, even for us as a country, we have had false starts before. President Kibaki tried it when Charity Ngilu was Minister for Health. Politics came in and the state rolled back. In President Uhuru's second term in 2018, when Cecily Kariuki was minister, Uhuru came with the big four. One of the big four was universal health coverage. Politics set in, the state pulled back. This time round, President Ruto has decided we'll not pull back. We will proceed with this transformative intervention because of its potential to really save on household incomes. A lot of families have become poor because of too much expenditure out of pocket on health bills. Many of the middle class, many of us, especially politicians, we have participated in endless harambes, and the only way to make sure that we save our money and the middle class saves its money is to reduce the number of people doing health-related harambes. The program is just started 2-3 months ago. You expect it to have teething problems. And that's why we are asking for your support, even as we convene next week to look at where the gaps are, the two levels of government, to perfect. And our argument as national government, led by President Ruto, is that you better have a not very perfect system of medical insurance than no insurance at all. So today, for example, previously only 9 million Kenyans were insured under NHIF. Today, 19 million Kenyans are insured. So you are better off with more Kenyans insured, with a scheme which is being improved, than have many Kenyans who are left for, to take care of their medical situations through drinking herbs and concoctions and seeing witch doctors. So we are on course. We want to target around 40 million, 45 million Kenyans in the shortest time possible. And when we meet and consistently keep on reviewing, this program will transform Kenya. You will understand NHIF only used to insure people who either have a salary or the ability to pay. This Taifa Care is insuring everybody. The only challenge is that those of us who earn a little more are sacrificing a little. You pay a little more, but then it saves you from attending so many harambes. So eventually, there is a balance in terms of your income. And then those who are paying lowest, 500 shillings, are now paying 300. And those who can't afford the 300, there will be a means testing tool which will waive the 300. So I'm wondering how really honest we can be to oppose a health insurance scheme that is free to those who cannot afford. It's a very difficult task to oppose such a scheme. So we are going to partner with county governments and also through the National Equipment Support Program, which I think all counties have signed to. That program will give us the access to equipment, especially for lower level hospitals, level 2, 3, and 4, so that Taifa Care can function and the referral system can function when you have diagnostic capabilities at the lower level hospitals. We are on the right track, ladies and gentlemen. We are consulting, we are collaborating, we are cooperating, and therefore we are respecting the Constitution. Where there are sticking issues that need to be resolved, I want to call upon all of us to exercise restraint and to exercise respect for each other, even as we thrash out those issues. Kenya's education reform is ongoing. When this administration took over, the CBC, which includes ECD and pre-primary education, was being rolled out. There were some imperfections which we are working on to make sure the CBC program is perfect. And secondly, we are looking at the funding of higher education, the university funding model, to make sure that universities don't become bankrupt and that as many students as possible access higher education funding. Again, work in progress, teething problems, but it is such a transformative program that we are going to go out of our way, irrespective of the politics, to make sure that we improve higher education, tertiary education, the CBC, to make sure Kenya's education system is accessible to as many people as possible. It is affordable, it is relevant, and it is of high quality. Ladies and gentlemen, that is our vision. That is our shared vision. As this administration, we want to plead with you to partner with the national government to deliver the next phase of our transformation. And God willing, at the end of the term, we can account for every sector. We can account where we found each sector and where we'll have taken it. With those very many remarks, we are also investing seriously, and this calls for joint effort from both levels of government in support infrastructure that unlocks the potential of the value chains I have already identified. This support infrastructure is in the roads network, power, electricity net connectivity, ICT connectivity, both in terms of the backbone connectivity, but also in last mile connectivity and the establishment of ICT hubs. This support infrastructure also includes the establishment and operationalization of county aggregation and industrial parks, manufacturing and industries, and also this infrastructure involves the establishment and operationalization of special economic zones, as well as the markets, the economic stimulus markets that we again jointly are setting up across the country. So these are some of the infrastructure that will support the revitalization of the value chains in agriculture, livestock, fisheries, blue economy, and mining. We will keep an eye on macroeconomic stability. We don't want interest rates and the foreign exchange rates and the other fundamentals, including inflation, to roll back. So we are keeping an eye on macroeconomic stability. CS Mbandi is here, is quite clear with the agenda for making sure that we don't roll back on macroeconomic stability. Second area of mutual and collective effort is the revitalization of the sectors where the key value chains that have the highest impact on the greatest number of the people of Kenya are situated. We need to revitalize the sectors where the value chains that bring incomes, jobs, to the highest number of Kenyans are situated. What are these sectors? And what are these value chains? These are sectors and value chains in agriculture, livestock development, fisheries, the blue economy, and mining. So that is our second golden key for transforming Kenya and taking us to the next level in terms of empowerment of citizens. I am happy to note that generally the economic situation is getting stable. The indicators of macroeconomic stability are beginning to coalesce and stabilize, and that is good for the economy. You have seen just 2 days ago, or 1 day ago, Kenya's rating by the international rating agency Moody's has placed Kenya in a good position, in a positive position from negative. And that is as a result of the hard work of the last 2 years, which has been able to arrest the escalation of the macroeconomic fundamentals, namely a foreign exchange rate, inflation, but also other indicators of macroeconomic stability like interest rates, and the price of fuel, as well as the price of essential commodities, household commodities. The inflation now is stabilizing at between 2.7 and 3%, down from 9.6%. The dollar, which a year ago was 162, 165 shillings per dollar, the shilling now is stronger, stabilizing at between 127 and 129, 130 shillings. And that has huge implications on livelihoods and the purchasing power of people. And at the grassroots level, most of the merchandise that people buy in local shopping centers is imported. And if the amount of shillings one needs to import one container is less because the shilling is stronger, it means the price of those commodities in our rural areas is going to be better. So with stability around prices of essential foodstuffs, prices of fuel, inflation, interest rates, and also the strength of the shilling, the economy at the macro level is looking good. What remains, and this is the work we need to do for the rest of this term, because both for the president and also for the governors, you are elected for a 5-year term. 2 years and a half are over. We are left with another 2 years and a half, roughly. So what we now need to collaborate and support one another in delivering is microeconomic stability, improving household incomes, improving job creation initiatives. We are engaged in job creation, and in job creation, we are looking at creating jobs locally in the economy, but also creating digital jobs, as well as providing avenues for labor mobility outside the country. Those are the 3 pillars of our job creation initiatives. We are creating jobs locally. How are we doing it? Through the housing program, through expanding SMEs and private sector, and so forth and so forth. But we are also creating digital jobs, which has huge potential. Content creators and the whole infrastructure of ICT hubs will help us in unlocking digital jobs. But also we have the labor mobility program, what the labor people are calling Kazi Maju. But we also have Kazi kwa ground na Kazi mtandaoni. Those are the 3 pillars of our job creation initiatives. Other than that is the housing program. The housing program alone is a transformative program. It is so transformative that housing program, if it is consistent for the next 10, 15 years, will transform Kenya and its ranking in the Human Development Index. If you see the countries that rank highly in the Human Development Index, many of them, the type and quality of the dwellings of the people is one big criteria that pushes countries upwards. If you have more people living in decent dwellings, then your Human Development Index goes up. Singapore, for example, 99% of the people of Singapore, which is number 1 in the Human Development Index, 99% of the people of Singapore are homeowners. And that's where Kenya is venturing into. So the housing program provides dignified dwellings for the people of Kenya, improving our ranking in the Human Development Index, but also it is creating jobs, but also it is stimulating the construction industry. You know, people selling cement and steel and so forth and so on are getting they are getting stimulated in terms of growth of that sector. So that again is another pillar. We also have made some progress on certain other aspects relating to disbursement of funds. I think we still have some outstanding issues around disbursement, and I think the National Treasury Cabinet Secretary will be briefing us on where we are on that one, so that we can again make sure that counties receive the funds they require to be able to carry out their functions. We had anticipated to build some consensus on the county government's additional allocations bill or law. We didn't manage because the parliamentary leadership has been on recess. We were trying to push for a meeting this week, but even this week is going not to work because the entire parliament is conducting their midterm review in Naivasha starting today until Friday. And therefore we have committed to look for the earliest opportunity next week where we can convene the various actors, mainly county governments and parliamentary leadership, to resolve the issue of county government's additional allocations bill. We will be consulting going forward to see whether we can convene a meeting next week to discuss the rollout of the universal health coverage, Taifa Care, because we want the national government and county government to form a consensus on how to collaborate and get the best value for the people of Kenya through this very transformative program. Since the last meeting, which was held in December, we have made some progress on a number of issues and matters before us through consultative and collaborative arrangements, as it is supposed to be. And I am delighted that we are consistently giving effect to our constitution, Article 6.2, which requires the two levels of government to conduct their relations through mutual respect and through cooperation and consultation, as opposed to conflict and confrontation. So far, I think when we met last time, there were issues around fostering an understanding between the Council of Governors and the Controller of Budget, which is one of the independent offices. And I think that matter is work in progress, and we did achieve some consensus around the issues which were on the table at that time. I know after that meeting, another issue has arisen, and it's part of today's agenda. And that's how it should be. When you have different institutions, different offices, it is normal for us to have differences of opinion on a matter. What is not normal is to attack each other or to be confrontational and to bring disrepute to any of the offices that are established by our constitution. And therefore, I know we have some differences of opinion around the issue of education support by county governments, which is part of today's agenda. And I'm sure, will find some consensus around the issue one way or the other.